I meant you no harm. I swear it. I am the truth.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 brutal anime overkills. Number 20, honestly, this is pretty brutal. Akima Kill. Leone is one kitty you don't want to play rough with, but Honest didn't really have a choice after everything he did. Serving as the Prime Minister of the Empire, Honest's corruption was comically obvious, and he was largely responsible for the deaths of many members of the Night Raid. Alas, he couldn't evade his fate forever, as he soon came face to face with Leone, who was ready to serve up a knuckle supper. Despite being shot, she did not take a break from this brutal pummeling. Pretty soon, there was more of Honest's scheming mind outside his head than in it. Number 19, Sweet Revenge, Darwin's Game. If you're stuck in a death game, chances are you're gonna bump into a nutter like Wang sooner rather than later. This psychotic gang leader took more than a little pleasure in dishing out cruel punishments for those who wronged him, or just anyone he could get his hands on for that matter. After killing Kaname's friend, his time on Earth was about to be cut dramatically short, however. First, he's picked apart Shuka's plaything. Then, Kaname gets to serve his own brutal punishment on him, which comes in the form of a bullet, which, let's face it, was pretty redundant when he was already in pieces. Number 18, Caesar Falls Flat, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What started with a bitter rivalry between two hot-headed Hamon users became a beautiful bromance between Joseph and the Italian ladies' man, Caesar. Unfortunately, the latter isn't strong enough to hold up against one of the infamous Pillarmen. It's bad enough that his body was shredded by Wamu, but in the aftermath, he has a giant stone cross fall onto his already doomed body. He may not have kept his looks in death, but at least he managed to carry over the last of his will to Joseph. Arrivederci. Number 17, Luis's Revenge, Mobile Suit Gundam 00. Amazing how one bit of tragedy can turn a spoiled but ultimately cheerful girl into a merciless pilot whose desire for revenge consumes her life. Case in point, Louise Halavi. After the death of her parents, along with some added manipulation by the innovators, she finally gets her chance at revenge on Nina Trinity. And boy does she go all out. Blowing up Nina's mobile suit to pieces, her psychosis reaches completion before taking her out with a final shot right to the cockpit. Number 16, Kenshiro shows no mercy, Fist of the North Star. As one of the 4 Hokuto brothers, Jagi held great resentment for his younger adopted brother Kenshiro, especially considering the fact that he's the whole reason why he wears a helmet to hide his disfigured face. He would commit grievous acts on the innocent, all the while impersonating and defaming the wandering martial artist. When the two finally face off, Kenshiro strikes Jagi with the Seiko technique, which causes him to feel like his entire body is covered with bare nerves. He then proceeds to prolong Jagi's death by striking him 4 agonizing times for each victim he wronged. For someone who likes to tell their opponent they're already dead, Kenshiro sure took his time with this one. Number 15, Eni Hikari ni Nare, King of Braves, Gao Gaiga. If you've seen Galar, you know that the 3G doesn't do anything by half measures. In their continuing war against the Zondarians, they must find a way to destroy the Zonda monster of the week without killing the human inside. With the Hell and Heaven technique proving too much for Gai Shishio's body, they instead opt to give Galar a giant hammer that doesn't know the word subtlety. With it, Guy hammers in a giant nail, pries out the human core, then utterly obliterates the remaining body with an attack that, as its name implies, turns them into light. Yeah, anything the Goldion hammer touches is reduced to photons below the atomic level. Number 14, Rem plays Twister. ReZero, starting life in another world. Really, anime? It's not enough that the best girl is denied a romance with the main lead, but then you go and do this to her? After being captured by the witch's cult, our beloved blue-haired maid finds herself dying in a rather excruciating manner as all of her limbs are twisted. The obvious silver lining stems from Subaru's morbid ability to rewind time following his death. However, he won't soon be forgetting what a horrific fate befell the adorable Oni. Number 13, Future Sight, Pokemon. The subject of death is rarely ever explored in the Pokemon anime, so to say this moment was shocking is putting it lightly.
Salamence Hyper Beam!
Hunter J is a lot like many of the villains in the series. She's a despicable Pokemon hunter who captures and steals from others, and then makes a great profit on the black market. This would ultimately be her undoing, however, when she captured the 3 Lake Guardians, Yuxi, Mesprit, and Azelf.
Alright, return to base.
After completing this job, her airship is suddenly struck down by a Future Sight attack and proceeds to crash right into a whirlpool. Underwater, the pressure from the water breaks the glass, leaving her and her henchmen to drown. You'd think that would be more than enough to ensure her death, but of course, to add insult to injury, her airship suddenly explodes. Number 12, Riders High, Eureka 7. It's fair to say that Holland wasn't exactly the best host to Renton when he first arrived on the Gecko. Even so, everything fell on Renton's shoulders when, after attempting to save the priest Norb, Holland found himself in the middle of an ambush. Pressured by his fellow Gecko State members, Renton bursts onto the scene with the Nervash and cleans house. But that's where it gets complicated. His conflicting feelings over Holland and the adrenaline rush he feels in combat overpower his actions, and he soon finds himself high off the rush. He hammers the last opposing LFO relentlessly, reducing its pilot to a bloody paste. It's only after seeing what's left of the human inside that he realizes what he has become. Number 11, Gojo crushes Hanami, Jujutsu Kaisen. Anyone who's watched Jujutsu Kaisen knows that Gojo loves to defeat his opponents in a way that's as over the top as possible. But what happens when you actually attempt to piss him off? Well, Hanami and the others soon found out when they tried to use civilians as human shields. With the power of his infinity, Gojo essentially pushes Hanami against a wall and crushes them like a hydraulic press. There's a good reason why they call him the strongest sorcerer, as he pretty much crushed this special grade cursed spirit like a bug. Number 10, Matt's Surrender, Death Note. It really doesn't pay to be an ally of Mello.
先回りしてる車か。
A potential successor to the genius detective L, Mello finds himself taking up his own crusade against the threat of Kira after his mentor's death, even employing his close friend Matt to help him out. Eventually, the tide turns against him as Matt finds himself surrounded by the authorities at gunpoint, forcing him to surrender.
撃つわけ。
Except there's one little problem. These guys happen to be big fans of Kira. One bullet would have been enough, guys.
平様に逆らった罪は死でしか償えないんだ。
Number 9. Monster Kado. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. What? You didn't think a series centered on a children's card game could have an example of an overkill in it? Well, you'd be wrong.
魔導戦士ブレーカー追加攻撃
During a rematch between Yami and Weevil Underwood, our heroic Pharaoh manages to win by playing a card that allows him to attack continuously as long as he keeps drawing monster cards.
ドローモンスターカードドローモンスターカード
He ends up drawing a lot of cards, and despite his life points reaching 0, Weevil gets metaphorically slaughtered. We're thinking he won't be able to hear the words Monster Kado without wincing from now on.
ドローモンスターカード離せ
Number 8. Any Dominator kill ever. Psychopath series.
ご愁傷様。
We're kind of cheating here by including a collective of overkills, but we think we're justified in our choice given the fact that the signature weapon of the Enforcers doesn't put a bullet in its targets, it causes them to explode.
対象を排除してください
Whether it's flesh or metal, these transforming pistols have so much kick behind them that there is no such thing as a stealthy kill when they are switched into lethal eliminator mode, leaving behind one hell of a bloody mess.
慎重に照準を定め対象を排除してください
了解だ。
Number 7. Char's No-Scope Kill. Mobile Suit Gundam. Throughout the original Gundam series, Char had only one thing on his mind: revenge. The target of that revenge was the very family he served under, and trust us, no Zabi was safe.
Don't take it personally. You can thank your father for this.
Outside of her Hitler-esque brother, none deserved that revenge more than Cassilia, though it seemed that she was just too fast for the Red Comet in her escape. But anyone who knows Char knows that he will go to some unconventional lengths to get what he wants.
Garma, I'm sending your sister to join you. Consider this my farewell present.
Instead of, say, exploding the ship they were on, Char just had to be extra and instead opted to perform the most ridiculous headshot of all time, with a rocket launcher. Anywhere would have done the job, Casval, but you just had to flex, didn't ya? Number 6. Several Punchman. One Punchman. Turns out that while Saitama can destroy anything from an alien overlord to a meteor with just one single blow, it doesn't mean he has to stop there. It's just when he does decide to throw more than one, it results in a supervillain getting blown to bits, like they'd just been hit by a bomb.
連続普通のパンチ
In all honesty, a single punch would have been enough to take out pretty much anything, but we're not telling him to stop. By all means, give us more consecutive normal punches.
連続普通のパンチ
Number 5. Dragon of the Darkness Flame. Yu Yu Hakusho. In their battle against Team Rokuyukai during the Dark Tournament, Hiei takes on their supposed leader, Zeru, in the place of the snoozing Yusuke. The Upper Sea class demon possesses great power over heat energy, covering his entire body with it and engulfing his opponent in flames. Shockingly, Hiei gets right back up and decides to fight fire with fire, except this time he evokes the Dragon of the Darkness Flame.
Dragon!
With just one single blast, Hiei utterly removed Zeru from existence. Honestly, he didn't have to go this hard, and to think this is all because he insulted the Jagan Eye. Number 4. Junkos Execution. Danganronpa the Animation. Junko Enoshima is one crazy lady. After imprisoning a group of students inside of an abandoned school, she seeks to invoke despair by throwing them all into a murder mystery game of death. Of course, she's eventually called out, and after realizing that hope has won over her precious despair, decides to do the only logical thing: subject herself to every wacky torture that she inflicted onto others. This includes being pelted by a barrage of baseballs, stuck inside a motorcycle cage, burnt at the stake, sent into space, and crushed. Like we say, crazy. Number 3. Lust Gets Cremated. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Any one fella who takes a glance at this sultry homunculi would want to light her world on fire, but Roy Mustang would perhaps prefer a more literal approach.
ようやくひざまずいたな。
In order to avenge his friend Hughes, the Flame Alchemist puts a big red target on the heads of every homunculus, and he got his first shot at one of them when he came into contact with Lust. Unsurprisingly, his weapon of choice was his scorching abilities, which were pretty damned effective. However, this is not a one-shot deal. This is a non-stop barrage of fire that eventually reduces her from sin to cinders. Number 2. Gon kills Pito. Hunter x Hunter. Even one of the strongest royal guards finds themselves powerless when up against a transformed Gon, who channels his anguish over the loss of his friend into a series of strikes that end up decimating Pito. You can honestly feel every single hit that the Chimera Ant takes. Even long after the fight is over, Gon is still laying into the Chimera Ant. Ouch. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Frieza finally dies. Dragon Ball Z. The once feared space tyrant really had an unfortunate change of luck after encountering Goku. He was sliced in half and blasted to bits, but survived. Leave it to the time-traveling Half Saiyan to get the job done though. After traveling to Earth with Daddy Dearest, not only does Frieza get cut to ribbons, he also gets evaporated courtesy of a ki blast. The villain got killed so hard that when he was eventually revived by the Dragon Balls, he was still in pieces. What do you think is the biggest overkill in anime? Let us know in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.